drive whose connection to Bataille and sovereign enjoyment. You might be thinking, what could the doctor, a time-traveling alien from a British sci-fi show, possibly have to do with Georges Bataille, a French philosopher who lived in the 20th century? It seems like a stretch. But bear with me as we explore the fascinating connection between these two seemingly disparate figures. Bataille's concept of sovereign enjoyment, or jouissance in French, is quite complex, but essentially it refers to a state of being that transcends traditional notions of pleasure and desire. It's a kind of ecstasy that arises from the acknowledgement of limit, of the unknowable, of the unrepresentable. According to Bataille, it's this acknowledgement that allows us to experience a kind of freedom, a liberation from the constraints of social norms and conventions. Now, let's take a step back and consider the Doctor, this brilliant, yet somewhat eccentric, protagonist of the Universe. Throughout the series, we see the Doctor navigate his way through multiple timelines, confronting strange creatures, solving complex problems, and often finding himself at the intersection of chaos and order. It's in these moments of crisis that we see the Doctor at his most sovereign, relinquishing control and allowing himself to be swept up. In doing so, he experiences a kind of jouissance, a thrill of sheer exhilaration that arises from the recognition of the limit. This is not the same as pleasure or enjoyment, which are always bound up with desire and the promise of satisfaction. Rather, it's a moment of unalloyed freedom, a surrender to the unknown and the uncontrollable. Here's the interesting part. This sovereign enjoyment, this unbridled freedom, is precisely what allows the Doctor to operate outside of the constraints of time and space. He can navigate these limits with ease, exploiting the ambiguities and contradictions that arise when events become fractured and unreliable. And it's this ambiguity that creates the conditions for his unique brand of intervention, a form of problem solving that is both creative and destructive at the same time. The connection to Bataille becomes clearer when we recognize that the Doctor's experiences on the show are not just about saving the universe, but about the very limits of language, of representation, and of the human experience. His actions are not just rational and strategic, they are also profoundly irrational and emotional, driven by a sense of pity, compassion, and justice. In this sense, we can see the Doctor as a heroic embodiment of sovereign enjoyment, a figure who embodies the limits of human understanding and the unknowable nature of the universe. He's a being who operates in the shadows of established norms and conventions, navigating the slippery terrain of causality and conditional logic. By reflecting on this connection, we gain a deeper understanding of the complexities of the universe and the ways in which the Doctor operates within it. We begin to see the show not just as a fantastical romp through time and space, but as a profound exploration of the human condition, with all its attendant tensions and contradictions. And it's in this space of tension and contradiction that we find the possibility of true innovation, true creativity, and true sovereign enjoyment.